So imagine the resistance movement or the Palestinian cause movement, all the networks that they have, all the connections to think tanks that they have, to the media outlets that they have, to the lobbies that they have, to the politicians that they are using the same infrastructure and the same networks and the same portals to basically spread all of this anti-Pahlavi narrative on different parts of the media and on the internet. So don't underestimate them. They're very sophisticated. I mean, think about it. The vast majority of the world is convinced, for example, that Israel is evil and is conducting genocide in Gaza. So they know what they're doing when it comes to spreading nonsense around and it's also not a coincidence that the anti-Israeli people and the anti-Pahlavi people, at least in Iran, the Venn diagram matches almost perfectly because they are anti anything that is good for Israel and the West, and Pahlavi is good for Israel and the West, and that's why they are biased against Pahlavi because they know that this is a huge win for America and Israel. By the way, Caspian Report, I think he's Azeri, isn't he? And I know that I've been following. He has had an anti-Pahlavi bias for years. Like I've been noticing this for years. So he's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. Some people think that he has some maybe bias in favor of Turkish separatists, and that's why he's anti-Pahlavi. But I watched that video of him just recently came out, and there are some very obvious, demonstrable wrong, like obviously misinformed stuff that he's just offered as fact in that video.
Can you
So,
say
for example,
them?
he said Israel.
Because yeah, we can cut the part of the video here and yeah.
But like for example, didn't he say that in Israel came out and came like let me get to that later, but let me answer your questions. Yeah, but we have a lot of work to do. You're right, and it's very interesting because this is what we lack. We don't have the connections that the anti-imperialist, anti-Zionist, cancerous movement, the connections that they have to lobbies, media. We don't have any of them, and we need to work on that. And it's interesting because Israel doesn't even have that. They're supposed to be controlling the world media, but they actually don't.
It's
Yeah,
mostly
it's most
in general the
yeah.
truth comes out and you get support from most of national movements inside yeah,
Yeah, but
the truth
let me give
comes
you
out.
yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. But so let me give you a more optimistic look. It's actually amazing how much we've managed to achieve given the amount of investment they made to keep the Pahlavi name out of people's narratives. I think this is what I said in the show. This is the victory of Iranian blood over terrorist money, right? So these groups, they have been spending millions and millions of dollars to try to hide the name of Pahlavi and make sure that the world doesn't know who he is and what he stands for. The fact that now more people are talking about, like, you might look at this and be like, oh my gosh, so much misinformation. But me, as somebody who has been fighting for years for more people to know the name Pahlavi, this is night and day compared to just a few months ago. Like the fact that he's on Fox News and is meeting with that politician or that politician, we couldn't be more happy. We're like, this is so much progress compared to where we were before. So we do still see misinformation, but I think we come a long way. And the only reason why we have managed to get this far, even though everyone else was against us, and we didn't like Prince Reza Pahlavi doesn't have the budget that they do, right? The Islamic Republic has oil and gas money, and MEK used to have Saddam money, and now they have probably Saudi money, right? They have a lot of money. They're dealing with astronomical budgets. We don't have that. The fact that we managed to get even this far, where now so many people, he's invited on Fox News, he's invited on so many of these other platforms, and everybody's writing about it. Even in the European Parliament, they brought his name and they were trying to recognize him, officially recognize him. This is because of the investment that Iranian people have made with their blood. They give their lives, and in just the past few weeks, they managed to undo y- decades, not years, decades worth of investment by all of these anti-Pahlavi interest groups in just a few weeks. And I'm very impressed. With regards to the Caspian report, if I remember correctly, he mentioned in that video that Israel in the 12-day war came out and destroyed oil and gas infrastructure. Just can you quickly tell me, like, if you remember that he said that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so that's
Yes.
BS. They didn't. Israel did not touch oil and gas infrastructure. The reason why Caspian Report was saying that was because he was trying to suggest that it was Israel that caused the fuel prices going up in Iran, right? That's what they did. He also was trying to reduce the Iranian people's revolution to be based on economics, like an economic grievance, but not a single chant in Iran. Has anybody seen a single video coming out of Iran where Iranian people are chanting something about the economy? A single one. What people don't understand is during the master revolution, people were not out there because of hijab. The West still doesn't understand that. The hijab was a spark. The fight was to get rid of the Islamic Republic. It wasn't for people to be able to get, it wasn't, the fight was not to get rid of the hijab. The fight was to get rid of the Islamic Republic. The hijab thing was a spark that started it. And now, when the inflation and the oil price, the fuel prices increasing in Iran, that's not why the Iranian people are out. The Iranian people are out for freedom, for complete and total freedom, represented by Prince Reza Pahlavi coming back to Iran. That 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 was just the spark. I mean, nobody in Iran is going into the streets and talking about the economy. Not a single person. So he's misrepresenting that. And there was another thing that was so obvious. Oh, he did the dumbest thing. You guys have my audio still? Because this is low and bad.
Yeah.
I need to switch it.
I can hear you.
Yeah, there's so many things that was wrong about the video, but one thing else that is so obviously wrong is that he used the election, the presidential election for Pezeshkian, the number of people who voted for the hardliners to show that the hardliners in Iran have support, have millions of support. The fact that he uses the Islamic Republic's data. By the way, if anybody has been following what's happening in Iran, everybody knows that the numbers that the Islamic Republic gave for the election was obviously a fake because they were all, I think, divisible by three to the very last digit, which is astronomically unlikely unless you multiplied all the numbers by three. So all the candidates, so I don't know, I have to go exactly see because this was explained to by mathematicians and stuff. So I have to go look at it. But the numbers they gave for the number of votes that all the politicians got was as impossible to be the correct numbers. And it suggested that they just whatever the real numbers were, they multiplied it. And it was obvious. It was obvious to everybody. They didn't even bother changing it the last digits just a little bit, not to make it obvious. It was that obvious that this was a fake election. So the fact that he's using those numbers to suggest how much support the hardliners have, shows that he's either clueless or he has an anti-Pahlavi agenda. Done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, next we have, was that just Francesco? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Or-
yes.
Okay, so then we have Shy next.
All right, guys. Thank you for airing what I said yesterday. It was very exciting to see it on YouTube. And I wanted to say, it's a little from your Tel Aviv, by the way. And I want to say, I'm convinced that it's only the Shah that should be the leader of Iran. I got convinced of that by you guys just from watching your stream with Goldie and Armin. Okay, this is the final battle. Pahlavi is coming back. Everybody in the United States start chanting this, please. This is the final battle. Pahlavi is coming back. This is the final battle. Pahlavi is coming back. Long live the king, long live the king. Long live the king, long live the king. Javid Shah, Javid Shah, Javid Shah. All right. So
Okay.
everybody spread this, please. Hopefully this goes viral and just start chanting it around the world. We need everybody around the world to be chanting for Iran, not just in Iran, everywhere around the world. No one's going to shoot us over here, anywhere outside of Iran. And we're going to show all of these commies and young Turks to go, shove their whatever up theirs where the sun don't shine. Shelter Palestine where the sun don't shine, because we're going to sing long live the king, long live the king. Javid Shah, Javid Shah, Javid Shah. And this is the final battle. Pahlavi is coming back. This is the final battle. Pahlavi is coming back.
Okay. Okay, talking. Well, thank you. Sounds good. So, thank you. Thank you, there. By the way, just before we move to the next person, every time we talk about this, I just want to say, Samantha, we love you. Okay. So just want to make sure that we don't any hate towards Samantha here. Okay. I think.
Didn't mean to be too much, guys, by the way. I just really want this to stay.
No, that's good. That's good. Yes. Okay.
So on that, Samantha would like to ask your thoughts on the future relationship between Iranians and Palestinians.
Okay. Do you have my audio?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Samantha, does she not have mic?
She's not turning it on. However, she wants to ask what you think the future relationship between Iranians and Palestinians will be.
Okay. Palestinian, okay. So for people who are new here, Palestinians is what we refer to. We're referring to Palestinians here. Okay. So right now, the Iranian people, I think, hate the Palestinian cause, and for a lot of them, and I don't know what percentage of them, that translates to also hating the people there. Okay. So just not doing any normative statements here, just being descriptive. I don't think, I'm pretty sure that the future government in Iran is going to be very, very close to Israel. And they want to make sure that they don't just normalize relationship with Israel, but also have a strong bond with Israel. So given how many Iranians hate the Palestinian cause, and given that Iran is going to be a democracy, it's possible that many of our members of parliaments are going to be able to gain more votes by competing with how anti-Palestinian they are, you know? So I think that is going to be like a way to make sure that that people know that you have the right values. So that might influence our politics. However, I think the more professional point is going to be that to just focus on supporting Israel, and Palestine is not a country. So given that Palestine is not a country, the whole Palestinian cause thing is, we're going to respect Israel's policies regarding whatever they're doing with that region. And so we're not going to, probably a more professional position would be, you don't need to take a position over something that is not even a nation state, right? Our position is going to be with Israel. So they're irrelevant what the position of our ally Israel is going to be. I think that's, instead of just coming out and outright saying, like, having a position against Palestine, I think it would be more worded in support of Israel, right? And supporting whatever Israel does for its security. I think it's going to be more in line with that. And I do think that what you're going to see more is more aggressive positioning regarding terrorist groups. Like, I'm pretty sure that the future government of Iran is going to be very aggressively anti-Hamas, for example, anti-Hezbollah, anti-Houthi, anti-Hashtishi, anti-Zainabiyun, anti-Fatimiyun. And I think a lot of Iranians would want to see their politicians moving our army and moving our intelligence operations to go hunt these people down, because a lot of Iranian people want revenge. And there were a lot of these people who were killing Iranians, right? A lot of these proxy forces were also killing Iranians. So I think you can expect to see a lot of Iranians wanting to push their governments to cooperate with Israel to go and hunt these people down wherever they are. So what I expect to see is a lot of collaboration between the Artesh and the IDF when it comes to bringing security in the region. What I also expect to see is cooperation between Mossad and Savak. when it comes to intelligence sharing and cooperation. I think that might take a while, by the way, because we need some time to recover. We do have a lot of oil and gas that now we could actually spend on building these things. So that might help us be able to spend money on building these things at some point to get us there. But it will take, so you need to be patient with us through the transition period. It might be a little bit chaotic, but before we actually stop becoming useful, right, to each other, so I hope like you're not expecting like a 24, and like a 1 week turnover of all of a sudden Iran becoming a country that is now being helpful. I think you need to provide us some time for us to build our army, strengthen it, train it, reorient it in the right direction. But I'm pretty sure once we get there, Israel is going to find a strong ally, finally a strong ally in the neighborhood, right? When it comes to fighting all of these terrorists in the region. I honestly, when I say I personally consider Palestinian to represent a terrorist group, not a country. So that's why if I'm going to refer to people in Gaza, I just call them the people of Gaza. I don't refer to them as Palestinian because if every time I'm saying Palestinian, I'm specifically talking about terrorists because the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian flag is a terroristic movement. So if you are one of the people in Gaza who is not guilty for some reason or another, then I don't consider you Palestinian. I consider you a resident in Gaza. Palestinian means that you are either a terrorist or terrorist sympathizer. Oh,
Thank you
hey,
for calling it Judea. Thank you for calling it Judea and Samaria. Number one,
yes,
we
yes.
stand that. Before it's 20 to the hour, just to remind you, we have Elad next, Heidi, Dom, Dijal, Danny, Richard, Deck, and Jeffrey. So we've got a list going. When you're done with the recording for like 30 seconds, I want to pass a message to you. Other than that,
Okay. All right, can we go? Can we go with the people who haven't spoken yet? Or that's too difficult to manage. Let's just go. Let's just go through.
It's still me.
Okay, Sylvia. Okay,
Still
go
me.
ahead.
So I have two questions. The more important one that really, really bugs me, like painfully bugs me, is how do the people in occupied Iran right now get access to food and drinks? I mean, I know it was difficult before, but right now they're like in lockdown, right? So if you could elaborate on what does it actually mean? Do they have like time where they can go out and get food or medicine or whatever? And the other question is, considering that everything is closed up, how does it affect the IRGC's manufacturing machine of all the weaponry that goes to Russia and all the terrorists around the world?
What was the second question?
How does the lockdown, how does the shutdown really of the country affect their manufacturing of all the weaponry and the drones and everything?
So the second question, I think everything has stopped. Everything is being focusing on survival right now. I think the Islamic Republic right now is nothing other than shooting people. I think everything else has been paused. So I think there's nothing left of Islamic Republic right now, as we're speaking, other than some people shooting at civilians trying to survive. Everything, the entire structure has fallen apart right now.
So it means that it
And that's
affects Russia right now. So it means that it affects Russia with their supplies of the weaponry in the war right now.
what Russia has managed to actually build some of the Shahed drones inside Russia. They moved their manufacturing of that internally. So I think they predicted something like this happening. Right now, they're even calling some of the terrorist groups like to come back to Iran to stop what they're doing in other places, to come to Iran to start killing Iranians instead. There are things going like the Islamic Republic is bringing for things into Iran instead of leaving. They need, like, they're trying to get weapons from, I don't know, Russia or China as much as they can. They can't afford to send anything else out. Right now, they're putting everything they have to try to figure out how to not die. Right. So they think that a lot of them are convinced that they're about to die if they don't figure this out. So everything else has to stop, right? With regards to how the Iranian people are finding food and medicine and stuff in the middle of the revolution, with great difficulty. I do think that everything has become less accessible, food, medicine, everything else. However, there's also a sense of unity that they have, means that everybody is working to help each other out, right? So that is helping out. So even in the first hour of the revolution, when people didn't even know what's about to happen, people were showing up into the streets with backpacks filled with water bottles and napkins, other stuff that people need. Like even before it got this chaotic, people came into the street participating in the revolution with backpacks filled with maybe like snacks for people, water for people, napkins for people, first aid for some people. That's what they were doing when they didn't realize how tragic this is going to become, right? And now the unity and the sense of cooperation and helping each other out is now more than before. So people are trying to take care of each other. I mean, we saw reports of doctors, because people are not going to the hospitals because the government is waiting for them there. A lot of doctors are like risking their lives, going into private houses secretly, doing surgeries on people, risking their own lives and stitching up people. And there are people who are trying to deliver medicine here and there for people who need it. So there's a lot of that happening. Stores sometimes are open, but you're right, it is very difficult.
Thank you.
Okay.
Heidi?
Well, hi. Hi. I just wanted to say I wouldn't get too depressed about Trump's rhetoric in the United States because he's not really talking to Iranians. He's talking to his base. And he has to be very careful because the United States has a tradition of protests. So a lot of the American people in general are kind of jaded about it. And they tend, because of the last 25, 30 years, they have a visceral negative response to protests and anything going on in the Middle East. So, yeah, Trump, I can see why he would be muted about a lot of things. It has less to do with Iran and the situation there, as opposed to maintaining the political will that he needs to be able to help Iran, because he can't do anything without political will.
I think actually it's more to do with not giving up, keep the Islamic Republic guessing about what he's going to do and not giving much information out there. I saw some polls suggesting that many Americans would support United States right now, supporting the Iranian people. So I think that when it comes to political will, he has enough of that right now.
Right now, he has it, but it's very fragile on his side and his particular faction of the political body. But yes, right now he has it, and I think he's just trying not to screw it up. So I'm saying don't get too worried about that. He's very astute politically and knows what they need to hear. And I think you're right. It has something to do with Iran as far as not showing his hand. But he still has to maintain that political will. He doesn't want to lose it, and neither do the people of Iran. So that's
Okay.
Okay, next we have Danny, the only one.
So, two things. First, I wanted to suggest to put out some video dedicated specifically to discussing the IPP in English, since the media will not touch it because it's related to the Shah. And there's great value to have some resource for people who don't care about it quite enough to read a 169-page booklet. And I think it's important to do if we want to fight the anti-Shah forces abroad, like that woman that spoke at the UN that I see everywhere nowadays, because I'm worried they'll spread misinformation about Iran after the Shah comes back.
So here's so guys, IPP is the Iran Prosperity Project, and there's the booklet that we often share is not the only booklet. There's so much more, reports and plans that they have released. The booklet is the most important one because it's the emergency plan for the first 100 days after the Islamic Republic falls. But they have a lot more other. The Iran Prosperity Project is like a much bigger body of work, and that booklet. The thing is that the part that needs to be covered in English for non-Iranians is the foreign policy part, because I think a lot of people might not be interested about the education part or the economy part or the policing part, So I think what the world want to know is how Iran is going to behave in its relationship to the rest of the world, and that's why the Prince of Pahlavi has, and that's why, by the way, this shows that we on our English channel, we were ahead of others, and we were correct to focus, because guys, before any of this happened, people who follow Atheist Republic on YouTube, you guys have seen that that's exactly the part of the booklet that before any of this have happened, I was basically going through it on our channel, the booklet, right? So this shows that I feel happy that I was focusing on the right thing. Now that everybody is like, oh, who's this guy? What does he want to do? Those exact same pages that I was trying to go over on our YouTube channel and our live streams are the parts that Prince Reza Pahlavi's team is now putting out there and making infograph versions of it to show what they stand for to the rest of the world. So I feel kind of vindicated. Like, it reassures me that maybe some of the things that we're focusing on is on point. But I think that's the part that needs to be highlighted, and that's not that many pages. And also, the prince has already made an infograph of that, so that's more easily consumable now for people. So we could just share that infograph.
I'm sure Samantha will have some links for us. I missed that live. I'll go back and look for it. And secondly, I wanted to add on to something that Shai said yesterday, but then he mentioned it in Hebrew and then he didn't say it in English. If you look at Israeli history, we were initially supported by the British and the Germans, and then these turned hostile, one slowly and one very quickly. Then in the 1948 war, we were backed by the Soviets, after that by the French, and most recently by the Americans. So today, it's not a secret that substantial elements of the US are very hostile to Israel. And we don't know who is going to win which primary in 2028 and who is going to be the president. So it's necessary to be ready for the worst after the next election. And even in the longer term, I don't think it's wise to tie the fate of Israel to the continued benevolence of Americans. With regard to Iran, though, a free Iran is not just the absence of the Islamic Republic. Iran has a quarter of the population of the US, and they're all highly intelligent. Iran will definitely become a very powerful country once it's free. And they hate our enemies even more than we do. So we don't have to worry about their politicians being fickle about which side to support. And because of the geographical location of Iran, we even directly share security interests. So this is why I think that Iran will become the permanent great power ally Israel needs, which is why it hurts me that this revolution is so expensive, not just because of the past shared history of the Iranian and Israeli people, but also because of the future history that I know. And I really hope we intervene at our earliest opportunity. Earliest ability.
Thank you for that. And to your point, actually, you're right, because given that United States might become more anti-Semitic sooner than we expect, even in the government, it makes sense for now is the time for Israel to help the Iranian people get rid of their occupying regime, because by doing that, then Israel even with less US support, the main threat against Israel has been eliminated. So you might have less US support, but you also need less US support, because your number one enemy and the funder of your main enemy is gone.
And all of us Jews who are going to have to flee the United States are either going to go to Iran or Israel. Israel's a little expensive, so Iran needs to scoot over and let us in. Next is Dajjal, and you are 4 minutes to the hour, Armin.
Oh, okay. So guys, keep it short here now. So because I'm trying to figure out if I could eat before I go back to Goldie's stream.
Yeah, of course. I agree with you, Armin. The priority for Israel, the priority, should be eliminating the Islamic Republic. Once you do that, your biggest enemy will be slain, and you'll have a new best friend over there. Even if anti-Israeli sentiment grows over here, it won't have the impact that it would otherwise. Since there's less shit, there would be less shit coming out about Israel. All the attention will just naturally subside And a lot of the anti-Israel propaganda bullshit will fall more and more on deaf ears. It'll still exist. You'll still have the anti-Israel grift, but it will be significantly weakened and it'll have to adapt. But yeah, that's a priority. You take care of that, and a lot of this shit just goes away. Pure and simple. Also, I was going to say, if I had my way about it, if I was the Shah, the man I would want to be leading this talk would be Mossad Hassan Youssef. That's who I'd pick. What do you guys think? I think it'd be great. Can you imagine the terror that would fill people? That actually happened. The chills that would send up people's spines. I think that'd be very effective. What do you think? Not going to happen. But
we need to move to the other person, but hasn't Musan did I hear somebody saying that he has said some anti-Pahlavi things? Just quickly, did he say that?
Yeah, I think the rest is against Iranians, not anti-Pahlavi.
All right, so fuck him. No, fuck that guy then. And also, by the way, just to be clear, I know you were joking, but just to be clear, the Shah is not going to be choosing the head of Savak. I think that there's going to be maybe the prime minister or some parliament, members of parliament. I think there's going to be a different process for that.
He said that the Iranians are spineless for the protest.
He said that after this revolution or before?
Yes, after.
He said it after.
He also said something about Iranian women need to quit worrying about lip fillers and like go out there and do something, like go contribute instead of plastic surgery. Something like
some weird stuff where he seems to have.
Okay, so maybe instead of making him the head of Savak, we'll send Savak to capture him and
we'll bring back have an Arab-Persian war right after we finish the Iranian.
Maybe the Savak brothers.
Israel, just a heads up, you guys might have to make some peace treaties between the Arabs and the Persians.
We're going to be an honest broker.
Yeah, he has some weird, there's something going on. I was really shocked by Mossad's, but it seems that he has some weird, I don't know, nobody's perfect. I guess he's been really great for Jews, but everybody has their baggage, I guess.
Fuck him.
Maybe it's misunderstood. Then.
Yeah, he said some really rough stuff.
He's always been kind of crazy. The only reason why people like him is because he's been crazy in the right direction, but crazy people cannot be relied on. Just because he's crazy in the right direction today, it doesn't mean that he's going to always be crazy in the right direction all the time. He's unhinged.
Yeah, he's the son of Hamas. You can't expect him to be totally kosher on all things. It's like Trump. Trump is going to be crazy in some ways. It's going to be really good. In some ways, it's going to be really concerning,
All right, let's move on.
Okay, after the hour, Armin, how many more minutes do you have for us? 6 people: Daniel Dome, Richard, Duck, Jeffrey, Rebecca, Shauna.
Okay, I'm going to have to go, so I'll just stop recording for now. Guys, raise your hand if you really wanted to say something to me specifically for just a little bit. Okay, so Richard and Jeffrey. Okay, Richard?
Mine's very quick, I promise. It's actually my wife's question, full disclosure. So this is a post-revolution question for you. Just given that the people in the referendum are very likely to vote on a constitutional monarchy to some degree, I was just thinking about 30, 40 years down the road, the Shah's children, he has 3 daughters. Is there a clear successor, an heir to the Shah? Is there any historical precedent for a female Shah? Has that ever happened? Is it going to be just the oldest one, if that is possible?
Yeah, it's going to be just the oldest one. Nur Pahlavi is going to be queen.
Yeah, thank you.
The Iranian people will be so proud to show that they're not, the patriarchy or whatever other people call it, that they don't abide by those types of ancient values. So going from having the mullahs ruling to having a female head of would be very poetic. And I think a lot of Iranian people would love that, because there's nothing more anti-mullah than having a female leader, right? But not in a third and fourth way feminist kind of way, more in a first and second, just equal opportunity, not being anti-woman type of way. You know what I mean? Not like these crazy woke versions of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Is there any historical precedent at all in Iran for that, for a female leader like that?
Not that yes, actually, I was thinking about modern history, but ancient history, yes, we had female queens and leaders. We had that before. Actually, that's something that a lot of Iranians are very proud of, because it was unheard of anywhere else when we had it. So, but not in recent history. In our ancient history, we had that. Yes.
Recently, I mean, you guys did give women the right to vote before lots of countries in Europe, so it's certainly not.
Yeah, yeah. Like Iranian women inside Iran have a much higher authority and position than anyone, than most countries in our region, right? So, and that all happened because of Pahlavi. This is why I call the two Pahlavis the greatest feminists in history, because the position of women in Iran before Pahlavi during the Qajar dynasty was worse than what it is in Afghanistan today. But now we're in Iran, the women in Iran, I mean, just look at them, right? Look at how the way the respect Iranians have for women is unmatched in most countries in the region. Yeah.
Women had a lot of power in ancient Iran too.
Yep.
They're even in the military, like the commanding troops.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Armin.
And I'm Israel Chai. Okay, Jeffrey.
Yeah, real quick. I sent you that report. Oop, go ahead.
I just wanted to say something really quickly because I
Oh.
didn't say anything at all today. So Armin, I just wanted to say you're spreading yourself so thin, and like we feel and see you guys just going out of your way 24/7. So we really love and appreciate it. I know it's hard, but
Oh.
you're giving us this commitment to listen to us, to talk to us, and Goldie as well. Truly appreciate it. I think we've been all living with you for like the last 24 days as a group.
Can I
Yeah.
just say I appreciate you guys still being here, because the rest of the world is moving on. So I appreciate you guys still being here.
Yeah, and it's really important. I was sort of going to pick back up on what you were saying a while ago with how Reza's put more into the spotlight. You're absolutely right, and I agree with you that I think it's a much more positive pattern in that he has more of a spotlight now, where I'm going to say even the beginning of last year, they would force him into the shadows and we would barely hear anything from him. And now it seems that with probably your help and just what's going on, unfortunately, in Iran, everything is more amplified, in my opinion. The pendulum is going the other way now, thank God. And people are starting to notice what's going on, and hopefully for the better. And when it comes to just the Palestinian cause, just communist cause, that they look more and more unhinged by the day. And they keep spewing the same shitty rhetoric every freaking time that they open their mouth. And, we're going to have Jew hate. We're going to have this hate, that hate, everyday hate, whatever hate all the time. But people eventually get sick and tired of it. And they're looking for a change, even if they could care less about anything. A lot of people are just over it right now. So I kind of am hoping that finally Iran will be free and more people are going to wake up and realize what's going on, and also see the bad and the rot that have been spoon fed to them for a while now, but very, very much more so within the last 2 years, just because I think October 7th gave everybody that's crazy a chance to be insanely crazy. And I think these weeds are just kind of full of themselves right now. So now they're exposed, and a lot of people are seeing it, and a lot of people are getting sick and tired of it. So hopefully it's beneficial to our cause and what we're trying to do.
No,
Yeah, that's all.
I hope you're right. No, that's good. That's very optimistic. Thank you. Okay, guys, Jeffrey and then Rebecca. By the way, guys, I think I'm gonna die in 5 minutes if I don't eat anything. So if you could, like, short. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I just was going to tell you that I sent you that report on your message share. I'm going to follow that up with another issue in response to some of the trouble that you and Goldie were seeming to have with regards to the website that you demonstrate on Goldie's YouTube, specifically separating signal from noise in the open intelligence reports you're getting to outline who's doing what. I'll send you that by later tonight, both in email and here.
Okay, Jeffrey, it's good to have these in my inbox, but I hope you don't mind me not being able to go through them. Probably. I hope that's okay.
No, it should have utility for you. It's, of course, you using it at your discretion. I'm just
Okay.
trying to lighten your load, bro.